We be casting off now.
Hello and welcome to the From the Spirit World podcast, a legendary Avatar: The Last Airbender and the Legend of Korra podcast for OverlyAnimated.com. We are podcasting episode by episode on the new Netflix live-action Avatar series with some of the biggest Avatar fans you know, the From the Spirit World crew. New podcasts will be out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday while we go through season 1 of Netflix's Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm your host, Dylan, and today I'm joined by Delaney.
Hey, y'all.
Sam.
Yo.
Allie.
Hi.
And Jeff.
Howdy.
I was like, we lost Jeff.
He's here. We've reached episode 6, Masks, in our watch through of season 1. A very exciting episode to get to here, potentially climactic episode, even though we're not in the north yet. So we're going to be talking everything through Masks here. Check out our previous podcast by searching From the Spirit World or Overly Animated anywhere to subscribe to either of those feeds or our dedicated Netflix Avatar feed to get all of these podcasts. And please leave us a 5-star review on any feed you do listen. We've watched only up to the episode we're covering. Some of us have, so there are only going to be spoilers up to Masks in this podcast. Please, no spoilers past that in the comments, but we will be in full spoiler territory for original Avatar and also Korra throughout this podcast series. And you can send us any feedback you have to podcast@overlyanimated.com or leave a comment wherever you're listening. And I'm just going to say, if you've been listening to these in real time and you want to get your feedback in for the finale, got to get that in by Friday afternoon. Going to be recording that a little early, so get your thoughts on the season in by then for us to read on that last podcast. And if you're listening in the future, you can ignore that. So let's get to episode 6, Masks here. Delaney, what did you think of this episode? Also, what have you thought of the last few since you haven't been on?
So I had the same problem you had with episode 4.
Good.
And so I had heard that Dylan had a rant, which I have since listened to, but I watched the episode and just felt in my soul how upset Dylan was.
I should still listen to your rant.
It's a good rant. Yeah, I recommend it. And it was just, my favorite part is Dylan going, "I'm a hypocrite." It was like, it's like I've been waiting my whole life for Dylan to say I'm a hypocrite.
Only in that regard, though.
So it was like the greatest moment of my life. But no, I was very much, I can't believe they did this, and Aang's not even here. I was like, wow. I got my rock candy, so I was pretty happy about that. We saw Jet again.
Wait, we're talking about episode 4?
Yes.
Okay.
And we put Jet in his place, so that was good though. So I'm going to try really hard not to flip-flop between 5 and this episode, but they go together, and I watched 4, 5, and 6 all together, so I'm going to try not to get mixed up. But I thought 5 was kind of okay, I'm still enjoying the episodes. I watched 4, 5, 6 all together. My wife really doesn't like binging things, but we just sat through and watched it. Also, how you finish 5 and you don't watch 6.
Is it better on a binge than one episode at a time?
I do think, certain episodes, I think, just because, they go together.
Yeah, but I wouldn't consider that binging. It's if you watch it 2 episodes in a day, I wouldn't consider binging.
That's fair. We did watch 3. Just saying.
I still wouldn't consider. I watched all of it in less than 2 days. That's binging.
I will say, we just don't do it because my wife doesn't like it.
I don't like doing it. I just don't know why I did it this time.
Still not
I wouldn't recommend it. It doesn't make it any better, is what I'm trying to say.
So episode 5, so again, I'm really enjoying the show. Episode 5 was kind of like a hot, steaming pile of garbage.
Oh.
I have a lot of questions.
And you're the most positive one on this show.
I say that.
And Jeff.
I say that, and I'm still and I didn't hate it, but I just have so many questions about what they did. And then, so love this episode, but I think this episode is indicative of what's wrong with this adaptation in general.
In what regard?
In the regard that they're we're going to do a shot-for-shot remake of The Blue Spirit, which you kind of got into this in, I think, the previous podcast, or maybe it was about Cave of Two Lovers, where, okay, well, we're going to remake The King of Omashu frame by frame, but then we're going to, just mess up Cave of Two Lovers. That's how I felt about what they did with Heibai, and also the storyline in episode 5 doesn't even make sense narratively in the show, like in the adaptation itself. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, we have Heibai, we get no resolution with that, and we have Ko for no reason, and he's just stealing people. Like, okay.
If you were looking for a lot of follow up to last episode, this episode did not provide.
It does not provide. Aang goes and gets the thing, and Ko's like, cool, which is out of character for Ko, and then is like, here are all the people I didn't eat. Okay, thanks. Weird. So that's like, so my issue is like, again, this episode, really enjoy it. Again, frame by frame recreation, and in some ways of when Aang, I guess is it the Winter Solstice Part 1? Is that episode?
Part 2, the Avatar Roku that we're framing this around, yeah.
Yeah, he goes to Roku's temple. You know, we do it. We're like, this is what happens. Cool. Okay, why did you do this? But then we had this really weird Spirit World episode where you were just like, we're going to put a bunch of stuff in here, and it's not going to make any sense at all.
Yeah, we'll pontificate on the decisions between what they're showing. At least a shot-by-shot remake at times for the Blue Spirit, at least. Yeah. Certainly not the Storm, which we'll talk about.
Right.
Oh my god.
Okay. What was this going, Tally, after that reaction? Sam,
what do you mean?
Just hold it in a little longer.
Hold it in. We want to see you combust. Sam, what did you think of Masks?
I liked certain parts of it, but on the whole, I wasn't too big of a fan. Of course, I loved everything involving Zuko. I'm turning into a Zuko fangirl.
I know.
Hey, so am I. It's happening.
Yeah, I really loved the flashbacks. I loved everything involving Zuko, and I really liked Zhao. We really got to see the strength of this adaptation's version of Zhao here, and I appreciated it. I loved how smarmy and terrible he was. It was great. Yeah, I didn't really care for much else in this episode. June, of course, was a wonderful highlight. As always, she's invited to the Sam party whenever. But as far as anything with Aang or Roku and Ko, it's just like, I couldn't really bring myself to care all that much. And I'm sorry, y'all. It was hard to get through. It just feels like a slog. And like, you know, we know where it's going to go, of course, because we've all seen the original, and it just feels like something I have to get through rather than something I want to watch.
Do you feel that way about this whole show?
I don't know. Ask me that when we get to the very last episode.
Okay. We'll see.
I'll
see
let
then.
you know.
Yeah, you say you like the Zuko part, but that's like 70% of the episode, I feel like.
I know, and what a great treat for us, right?
Wonderful. The other 30%, Sam's like, no.
Yeah, there's like beginning and end, and no Katara and Sokka this episode.
Oh yeah, honestly, I thought that was a great move.
Yeah,
I thought that was great.
You didn't miss them?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry to say.
That's a good thing or a bad thing, but I feel.
And like that's how it is in the original, like Blue Spirit, which they're kind of like sick and they have to suck on frogs or whatever.
I did miss the frogs.
Yeah, my girlfriend missed the frogs too. But
I miss
and Miyuki.
No Miyuki.
Yeah. Dylan, how do you feel about no Miyuki?
Oh, it's I'll file my grievances. This podcast.
But yeah, I felt like the lack of Katara and Sokka honestly probably made it a little bit better. Sorry.
Make this the adventures of Aang and Zuko. Give us give it
exactly.
to us.
Zukang the series.
Let's go.
I mean, that's the Zukang episode. Blue Spirit.
Yes.
True.
It would have been more of the Zukang episode if they did something with the storm, but
okay. Well, we're gonna still not go to Allie. Jeff, what did you?
Come on.
Jeff, what did you think of Masks?
I was so disappointed in this episode.
What aspect? A specific one or in general?
I wrote down like 9 things that I did not like, and only 2 things I did.
Oh, geez.
It was, and okay, one of them, and I'm not as good a ranter as Dylan, I think, but the Yuyan archers, they just did them dirty in this episode.
Right?
one of my favorite parts of the whole first season was seeing those guys go through the trees and just take Aang out with sniper. Like, oh, they're non-benders, but they totally just destroyed this guy.
Like,
And they did nothing here. It's like, we got you surrounded with like dozens of firebenders, and also we have archers. Okay. And then, yeah, one shot at the end to do the shot for shot remake. Like, I'm so sad. So many other, the totem plot, that was a massive plot hole, and also made no sense. There's no bonding with the crew. There's no downtime. Roku looked silly. Aang still being torn up about letting everyone down, even though he didn't, and he was absolved of that last episode, and yet that didn't matter. Although, one thing I thought is going to make it into the quote lodge when that happens is Zhao's like, celebrate!
oh my god.
His line reads, that actor on that
It has
speech
been
was-
memed to hell and back. It's
It's-
sad.
Definitely intentionally what
But
he's
it's
doing
giving
there.
frat boy. Like, it doesn't make any...
I mean,
I
is
mean,
that
it
not
makes sense,
Zhao in
but
this
it...
moment?
I love it.
I laughed very hard, and I don't know if it was supposed to make me laugh, honestly.
No, I mean, I think we've reached Campy Zhao.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I'm trying to find his actor's name as we're talking. I definitely think that he's trying to bring that aspect of the character here.
I don't know if it's working, or at least not in the same.
Ken Leung, yeah.
It's a different kind of camp.
We'll go over it.
I'm not against it.
Jeff, the most prominent Yu Yan archer, that woman dramatically nods. Do you have the shot? Dramatic nod.
She didn't even have to nod. I mean, in the original, it's just like she closes her one eye, or I'm not
She
sure.
like tightens her bow or something.
Yeah, like I don't know. I felt like that just made me feel like they think I'm stupid and I can't tell whether or not she's ready.
She clearly is. She just immediately shoots him. So
It's because Zhao is stupid.
Yeah,
That's true,
Zhao
you
is
got
kind of-
nuts.
Does that mean
Zhao.
are they trying to tell this story through Zhao's eyes and Zhao is the audience? Is that what's happening?
Yes, that's what's happening.
Yes. Anything else, Jeff?
I'll have some closing thoughts, but that's it for now.
Okay.
I want to
Okay.
know the other 8 things that you hate.
I know. Well, if we don't bring them up, if we don't get to them throughout, okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll go to Allie, but I just want to tell the audience, I will have some positive thoughts just in case people
I
like
also
this
have
episode.
positive thoughts. I'm
Okay.
really
Well, then here you go,
sweet.
Allie. What are your?
So, I mean,
like
other than echoing everything that Delaney, Sam, and Jeff have already made point of, I liked half of the episode, and the half of the episode that I liked was everything with Zuko and the Fire Nation. Like, Dylan, I think Sam, one of you guys said that it was done really well. I think, Sam, you said you liked it a lot.
Yes.
I think they're handling it very beautifully. I'm a big fan of the way they brought the 41st Division more into the story, because I know it was mentioned in the original series, like that, like Zuko did stand up for them, but the fact that they're his crew, even if they didn't get to bond on the ship, like it puts a lot of just his actions
Yeah,
and
that's
just everyone's
good.
attitude into perspective.
That's completely original, right?
The 41st Division did exist in the flashback alone.
but they're his crew. That's
Yeah, they're
the-
his
Yeah,
crew
that's-
here.
they make
Yeah,
it,
I think
It's
I
a
like it.
fantastic change.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
and
think
I really,
originally his crew was just like a ragtag team of
yeah,
whoever was lowered in the ranks.
it has a lot of emotional weight to putting them on the ship. Even though, like, I don't know how to feel about the bowing scene on the boat. Like, I think it was meant to have like a emotional effect, but I did think it was a little silly with how slow he was walking.
It's,
It was like-
it's definitely meant to be emotional. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to eat. I think they ate up until then, and then it was like it was fine. But that change in general made me very happy. Don't really know how to feel about the shot-for-shot Blue Spirit sequence, especially because of the conversation that Zuko and Aang have in the shed. I would have just like preferred it to stay like that. The very last scene they have where like, do you think we could have been friends too? And Zuko shoots a fireball at him. Just leave it at that. They don't have to have a conversation where Aang's like, you can be different than your father. And Zuko, like, you see the turmoil. Like, it feels like what Sam said. It feels like they think the audience is stupid and that we can't, like, see from his past already, like, that he is already in turmoil. I also, as you've heard throughout this whole opening sequence, I'm very upset that they got rid of the storm in this episode.
The actual storm
Yeah, the actual storm, because that sequence was cool.
as
but
like
also
a framing device. Or...
well, no, Yes and no. The framing, just the episode, because I mean, it
Well,
really
I think
shows.
they tried to do the main part of the storm, which is the
I don't
Agni
know
Kai
if
flashback.
they didn't, because the whole reason of like that the storm comes into play is that we get the reveal that Aang ran away, and he doesn't do that in this series. Like, I don't think it works what they tried to do with the storm. If they tried to do anything at all, I didn't get that vibe, honestly. I mean, with Gyatso, I guess is what they're trying to do. But like Jeff said, like he was absolved of like his guilt, even though it didn't even come into play this whole time. It doesn't really make sense. So everything they're doing with Aang, I'm not a fan of. Everything they're doing with Zuko, I'm a huge fan of. So I feel inverted because I was an Aang fangirl watching the cartoon, and now I'm a Zuko fangirl. So
clearly you're a Zutara shipper now.
Bisexual rights, I don't know. That doesn't apply here.
So
I'm not a Zutara
start
shipper.
thinking about the hidden Zutara.
I'm a Zutar Aang shipper.
Like,
so like a throuple?
Yeah,
sure. Katara doesn't have to choose. I'm with that girl who was on the official Avatar podcast with Janet and Dante.
Okay.
But yeah, episode was not great. I think it was better than episode 5, if that helps at all.
Look, it's interesting that I feel like this has been the most negative opening, because I'm going to come out and say I think this is probably the best episode of the show so far. Pretty easily. That being said, caveat, it's mostly because they just did the original Blue Spirit episode the same. They did the exact same, and that's a great episode, and it's good here.
Stuff? Like the Fire Nation stuff.
The everything with Zuko is good here, but like, look, like 50% of the good stuff here is just like them doing the same thing that the animated show does.
That's my problem. It's like, okay, this is good. They did exactly what happens in the show.
Right.
And it's not supposed to be a one.
Why are we watching this?
Well, yeah, so I do feel that way. That being said, I do think they brought some original stuff here. We continue to add more Zuko Arrow flashbacks on top of the existing ones from the storm. I think probably some people will be upset that they changed some stuff from the way that the Agni Kai.
I've seen people be upset about that, and I understand why, but I don't really agree.
I understand why. I didn't care that much, to be honest, and we'll certainly talk about it though, and I'll try to give it its due. But on top of that, we added stuff before and after the War Council and the Agni Kai. So I thought all the original flashbacks they've been adding have been the best kind of original content of the show. Oh yeah, and the Zuko Aang talk in the cabin or whatever they're in, which is their version of the same scene from the animated show.
It's not the same.
It's the same framing, but they frame it around this notebook, which is the original device from this show. And I think that it was a very successful original dialogue from this show. Outside of flashbacks, this is the best written kind of original content I think we've gotten from them.
Also, it's like, no, I'm not giving you back. It's mine.
So look over, and at the end, this episode is unfortunately framed around an Iroh narration, and I think this show really needs to stop with the narration. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the ending, I thought they almost lost me, but overall, though, I said last podcast this was the most important episode of the show. They really needed to deliver here. I think they did. They didn't do anything past like oh, the show's great now. I only thought it was good before. I think we've cemented this as like good. Like, this is fine. This is a 6 or 7 out of 10 show. I don't really care what they do with the Northern Water Tribe at this point, but
you don't want to be saying that. That's an important arc.
Yeah, I'm not I don't know where they'll have room to change things in an amazing way. I don't see it, but maybe I'm wrong. I feel like this is
not necessarily in an amazing way. What about in a terrible way? Sure,
but they've at least delivered. I feel like this is the climax of all the Zuko Iroh stuff they've been doing, and I think they delivered on that. And so that's going to at least cement this show in the positive here, even if it's like an unremarkable positive. Which I think is encapsulated by this episode because it's mostly the same as the animated show. But I think you could argue that their best original content is here. We'll go through kind of all of that. Obviously, episode 4 has those 2 Zuko Iroh flashbacks, which I think are probably still the best stuff. But that kind of, for me in that episode, it was like, oh, those are great. And then there's also other stuff. All their stuff here felt very like integrated, I think, into what was going on. But that being said, yeah, I think it's like this episode pays off a lot of the good work they've been doing with Zuko and Iroh. Sam and everyone else has been talking about this. I think if they hadn't done such a good job before this episode wouldn't have landed. But it at least does a little bit, if not a lot, depending on your perspective, kind of because Zuko's been really great here. And Iroh as well.
I think it's just bogged down because of the previous episode.
Certainly, I had nothing in this episode makes the spirit world stuff that we were kind of iffy on.
Yeah, I mean,
better.
if I'm honest, I forgot that the spirit world was in play because they put the blue spirit in the middle of it. Like when Ko came back and like the mother of faces and all that, I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing that
they're all eaten. This is the longest detour.
Yeah, it's really weird framing with that, but whatever.
I get why they did it, but I don't think it was very effective.
Yeah, and it's like they found a clever way, so we can talk about this, to combine the episodes Winter Solstice Part 2 of Tairoku, which was the beginning of this, the Blue Spirit, which they did at least the main parts in its entirety, and parts of the Storm, at least the Agni Kai, and I guess we still have Bado with June being there. But they found a way to combine all of those pretty well. I think with Blue Spirit and the Storm flashbacks, it makes sense to combine them for sure.
Yeah.
I think the framing around the solstice was awkward. And seems a little forced.
It's just half of the Storm is gone because Aang's character development is gone. And it makes me upset to no end.
Yeah, I think
I would argue it's not even half. It's like 95%.
No, Zuko's is there. So like his part of the Storm is there, which is half of the actual episode. I mean, the other half is Aang's.
And it's more than this running away thing. Aang also has still not waterbended. We're officially gonna have reached the north with, and Aang will be waterbending for the first time.
What is going on?
There's really not a ton with Aang. I do think there's good Aang content this episode. It's mostly in relation. It's mostly in relation to Zuko, though. Zuko's really anchoring things here. And
did you forget who the main character of the series is? It's the Last Airbender, not the Last Firebender.
I think you could argue Zuko's the main character of this show.
He's not the Last Airbender.
No, honestly, I think they've put, like, I do think basically it feels like, especially with Iroh narrating, that this is like Zuko's show.
This is a Zuko episode at the very least.
I would be fine if they framed the whole series around Zuko from
that would be an interesting way to retell Avatar.
It would be awesome.
Around Zuko as the main character.
It would be amazing. But they're not doing that. So doing this is confusing.
And I will say, I unfortunately did not miss Katara and Sokka here.
Ooh.
Gotta say, especially Katara, which sucks.
Wow.
Dylan
was #1 Katara fanboy back in the day.
I mean, we all feel that way.
And it's kind of sad. She's kind of just nothing
She's
so
the heart
far in this show.
of the show, and she is not that here.
I think the bending stuff with her has been cool. Everything else has not been there. And there have been some small moments with her and Aang's, but they're paying for taking away Katang. I'm sorry, you're paying for it now. There's nothing really. It's a major part of you take it away. It's like, okay, we're going to cement them as having a really great platonic bond as well. But they haven't gone in the opposite direction either. They've kind of just not had a ton of content with them.
Yeah.
You kind of replaced it with nothing. Okay, but let's talk more about the Blue Spirit stuff. Were there any changes from this part that we noticed, particularly the diminishing of the Yuyan archers by Jeff was a good one. They really only needed to be there for taking the shot at the end, which then he escapes, which I guess also happens like that. But the Zhao, I don't know. I think getting into Zhao more is kind of interesting because this is his biggest episode. And I think what me and Sam kind of alluding to, Zhao, I think maybe starts differently in this show. He's more, he's lower ranked. He's maybe more scheming. And this episode, he gets the Admiral promotion.
So
annoying. And in response, he kind of turns into the Zhao from the show that Zhao was all along, which I think is really interesting. I think that kind of makes a lot of sense with this Zhao's character arc. So
you can just see the ego inflating in real time.
Yes.
It really can.
I think his actor's doing a great job with it. We got the scenes of him transcribing to the guy about his speech and everything, saying it similar to the show. I think that's successful here.
I had a few sensible chuckles during that.
Okay.
Scene.
Since that's a good improvement, I think. And I loved his speech personally. I know.
Did you like the way he said "celebrate"?
Yeah, because I know he's memeing on purpose. He's trying to be like he's trying to be
Memeing on
Zhao the
purpose.
Moonslayer, his actor.
I will say the way he talks with his hands is deeply distracting.
Interesting. I gotta look.
My wife hated it. She was like, "Why does he keep doing that with his hands? He needs to stop."
Well, what else
What
did
was
I
he
write down
doing?
about his speech? He said something other than celebrate, but it was a lot of quality content here. Glory of the Fire Nation or something, like
He's ridiculous. It's terrible.
So I thought as
He was
a
doing it.
Zhao fan, I do think the show is kind of finally delivering on the actual core of Zhao.
Oh, okay.
I am very worried for him in the North. I doubt they're going to be able to pull that off, but at least they got this pretty well. And I remember this Zhao from Blue Spirit more than I remember animated Zhao from Blue Spirit. He doesn't stand out in my mind as such a big part of the animated episode.
No, he's just mad.
So I don't know. I think that's a great aspect.
Yeah.
What do we think of the Blue Spirit? We were talking about, is the Blue Spirit going to be a mystery here?
Why was this in the press kit? Don't talk about.
Well, no one knows what we're talking about that, but yeah, it's he's still Zuko. I think it's for the most part still not a surprise here. And I think
It was only a surprise when they said don't spoil who the Blue Spirit is.
Well, thankfully, I don't think the episode overinflated the mystery and treated us as the audience is stupid in that regard.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's just like it's honestly
Well,
kind
I
of
don't know. I
subtle
think
for
they
them.
kinda-
The mask
they
is
kind of
off.
did do that because Iroh was like, "Do you know where they're going? It's that prison. You can't go there." And it's like, obviously, he's going to go there.
Yeah, well, I
did
right. I think
feel
they're
a
seeding
little
that
bit.
in. Oh, I got another aspect I actually really liked about this episode: the fortress, which they prominently say the name of, which is nice that we're saying something. The Pohai Stronghold. I thought that was a gorgeous set. A lot of it's probably CGI, but I thought that looked really good. The Stronghold. So it might be my favorite location so far in the show in terms of how it looks. I will say the Fire Temple also looked very bright and vibrant and stuff.
Yeah, you could see what was going on outside in the dark.
Yeah, that's nice.
Wild.
I don't know. That one was a little bit more of a mixed bag for me, just because it felt it feels like an animated location, which is I don't know. Anyway, what do we think of any Allie? Anything on how we do Zuko and Aang in the Blue Spirit parts of this?
I mean, I liked it up until the conversation in the shed. I mean, it was good, but it felt like they were like talking down to the audience. Like I liked how the dynamic was more. I don't know if tumultuous is the right word in the original series, but like Zuko didn't even try to talk to Aang because he was too stubborn. Like in this, I'm not getting that stubborn teenager. Like it doesn't really seem to make sense the way he acts with Iroh and like all about getting back to the Fire Nation in the first place. So when he talks to Aang, I get it is probably because he's like low on strength, but I would just see him not talking at all. But I thought the dialogue was cute. I did like the actors interacting. I think they did a great job with the scene. And I do like how they used the notebook as a plot device.
Yes.
However, I don't know, just the way Aang goes, you don't have to be like your father. I was like, I don't know if that's something you would be telling to him. Like, you don't even have a dad. How do you know what that's like? No offense.
It is very in your face.
It was a little strange. Other than that, I thought it was done very well. Obviously, like what you guys were saying, it was only good because, or the best parts of it were the way that it was like a shot-for-shot remake of it, except for the Yan archers. I thought the fight was done well. Again, my one complaint about the fights is there's too much slow-mo, and I understand that they're doing that to be like, look at
this
it's
is
bending,
this
it's
is like the
working.
first time I noticed a big slow-mo here with that Aang
They
attack
do
in
it
this
all the
episode.
time. Every time bending starts, they do a little bit of slow-mo, like at the start, and like somewhere in the middle, they do a little bit of slow-mo. It's not like too much, but they do it too often. Is my problem. But the bending looks good. CGI looks really good. Their interactions. It felt like too like punch down, but I think the actors did a good job. They're really giving Zuko and Aang with the scripts they were given. I think like props to Gordon and Dallas for sure. They deserve their flowers.
I think this is Gordon Cormier's best acting by far.
I
of the
agree.
show.
Yeah, for sure, except for that one line. And like the boat scene, I love that the dialogue was almost exactly the same, and like the shot was almost exactly the same, the way he shot the fireball, and it was slow motion. That was done really well. Yeah, I mean, overall, I liked it. I guess I liked this episode more than I initially thought. It's just, I think about the stuff they did poorly, and I get, like, why did you do that? You had it down so perfectly, and then you just...
Well, would you want them to have done the same thing and not having changed anything?
A little bit. I mean, I think the Notebook worked. I think if Aang wasn't like, you don't have to be like your dad, it would have been better. Like, he just didn't have to say that. But I get it was, like, to make Zuko mad and have Aang knock him out again. But it was, like, also, keep your voice down. The Fire Nation soldiers are still around. Are you stupid? Like, you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah, for real. They're too loud. How did it not find them?
They're hidden in this one cabin.
I liked it.
Because the stormtroopers are looking for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Sam, what any thoughts on all this Aang Zuko parts of the Blue Spirit stuff?
I honestly don't have that many thoughts about it. I thought it was okay. I don't know. I thought that the conversation that they had was fine. Personally, I didn't feel like the dialogue hit too well for me. I did appreciate kind of like learning more about like Zuko's sense of, I guess, duty and sense of like, I have to do this because everybody expects me to do it. And yeah, I don't know. I thought that was like a good look into like how he works thus far, and I'm excited to see if we do continue with the series on to book 2, how those beliefs will shatter. So
true. Yes. Yeah,
This
honestly,
is very
that's like
true.
kind of the most if they get renewed, that'd be the most interesting thing, seeing the book 2 Zuko arc.
Yes, I want them to do it well.
No, I agree about the Zuko talks about expectations, and Aang relates. They relate to each other. I thought that was probably the smartest part of that conversation that they included.
Was that like what you were saying about like how they did the storm? Was that like their way of doing it? I guess. Because in the storm, you do see how they like also the responsibility weighs on both of their shoulders.
That's interesting. Yeah, that they're trying to incorporate it there. I could see that. I mean, with I just say they're doing the storm, like they do the Agni Kai. Like, and it's not that complicated. Yeah, they do the Agni Kai scene. Obviously, there's other parts they don't do.
Yeah.
You guys are talking about like Ali talking about blatant dialogue. For me, it's when we get these kind of repeated lines, because Aang's like, "You can show compassion," which I thought was pretty funny. That's like, that's like triggering to Zuko.
It's really
compassion.
It's a sign of weakness.
But compassion is a sign of weakness, and then we get the same. We have to see explicitly Ozai saying that to him. Right?
Yeah,
so it has to be spelled out to us.
Yeah, that's the issue I have with the dialogue. I don't really have an issue with I actually really liked the conversation in the shed.
It's the dialogue.
So my problem with the show is that because we have to go through all these events that happen, we don't get any time with these characters. It's why Katara is a weak character. It's why Aang has no character development. We don't have any time, and we don't spend any we have to go and do all these things, and so things that are really memorable and important, kind of like in the previous episode with the acorn, we just were like, okay, well, we have to do it, even though we're going to do it in this way that doesn't make sense, and it's not going to do what it's supposed to do anyway. So I liked the dialogue because, I know we talk, it feels like dumbing down, but, I think they have to do that because they don't, this show, they're going to show us a bunch of stuff, but they don't show us anything important or, anything with substance. It's granted, the Lu Ten flashbacks were amazing, but they don't the show is very showy, but there's no substance. They're look at all this cool stuff. Let's look at all this. But Avatar is really cool, but we're completely devoid of the heart and the the meaning and the really thoughtful things that are in Avatar. It's just not here. So I really did like this conversation, and I think this was having the characters talk to each other for longer than 2 seconds was amazing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I thought there was some heart with this Aang and Zuko conversation. I agree it's atypical for the show, but I thought there was some heart here.
I completely agree with the lack of downtime, and it came out. It was highlighted to me from this conversation because when Aang's talking about, "Oh, I love your notebook. I look at it every night." I'm like,
it's when?
Yeah, we don't do that.
I would have liked to. That would have been cool to see him perusing it and doing stuff, and maybe also studying the water scroll. But so they don't have any of that.
Well, we spent a lot of time in the original show at camp.
Yeah.
And then, well, and we also kind of got this a little bit again, and I don't know if this is 4 or 5. I don't remember. I apologize. When they're in the bar and Zuko gets really mad because they reference the Great Divide. They actually reference the waterbending scroll, which is kind of funny.
Yes, last episode.
And then it might have just been those two. They might have mentioned
it was the fortune teller. You didn't make it to the podcast when we talked about that.
Sorry, I didn't get that far.
Not that we need to. Not that we need to delve too much into it, but now that we're talking about this, I think it's pretty. I'm thinking about it too, and I'm like, is this show like the essence of Avatar? Like, because
no,
like personally, if I'm like fantasizing about like the Avatar world, I'm like at camp, like I'm like the Avatar or an Avatar's teacher, like you know what I mean, like training or like
downtime.
That's kind of what when I'm like imagining Avatar, like the traveling, the camps.
You're imagining the universe,
yeah,
not the plot.
And the show really doesn't do any of that,
not at all. Like, not at all. Not even a little bit. And it's maddening.
Yeah. Like, the show knows that it has to hit these specific beats in order to, quote unquote, like, be Avatar, but it doesn't have that essence.
It only hits, like, the plot beats and not the character development beats.
I think thinking in that regard makes me feel like how important the travel show and humor and character moments is to Avatar. And like this show is just doing it's doing a different show. It's like it's not trying to do all of that to the extent, for sure. But it's just weird. It is kind of weird and surreal seeing this, like the same things happening, but in this completely different framework, this like much more typical show that we see.
Like, I would rather, like, let's say they had, honestly, I'll be honest, I would have rather they hadn't done a shot-for-shot remake of the Blue Spirit, and maybe we had spent a little bit more time with the characters. Granted, I am happy with having the Zuko and Aang conversation, but the thing is, and that's the thing, Zuko and Iroh aren't doing a bunch of stuff. They're wandering around, getting on and off boats. They kind
of are.
They have, like, they can have conversations. We can have flashbacks. We can't do that with Aang, Katara, and Sokka because they don't know each other. Like, we need them to be acting in the present. And
I think at this point they're supposed to have a big bond. We just haven't seen a lot of the bonding, unfortunately. But yeah, now that makes me think like the stuff we cut out of Blue Spirit. It's all the non-dramatic parts, right? Like everything with the old lady Miyuki, the frogs. It's like, sure, you don't need to do the frogs thing. Maybe that's a little like kid show comedic, but you're not replacing it with like an equivalent humorous or quiet moment. You're just kind of cutting it out and moving on.
They're like, so they Frankenstein these episodes together, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, I don't think it worked in the previous episode, but then it's like they scoop out the good bits.
Yeah, I think overall the Frankensteining of the episodes has been like impressive that they've managed to combine so much but ultimately it does not affect the quality of the episodes. It's more just like, oh, that's cool, I guess, that you can do this here instead of here.
And I'm like, you have to read the book. You can't just do the Cliff Notes.
Oh yeah, read the Kyoshi and Yang Chen book, by the way.
Not that book. This is
I have been listening
this is book
to the
one,
Kyoshi book. It's pretty good.
Oh wow!
Oh,
don't enable
Allie came for me on Twitter, and I was like, oh god.
I come for everybody everywhere if you have not read these books.
I know, Allie.
Like, I'm not finished with it yet.
That's okay, Sam. I'm proud of you for starting, and I'm glad you're enjoying it because I know anyone who likes Avatar will like these books. I'm telling you.
It's on my shelf.
Okay, to make it relevant to the episode, I believe Pohai Stronghold is a location in either this book or one of the books.
Sure,
I believe.
Why not?
I don't remember, but I
Roku mentions Kyoshi being all like uppity and
him just standing there pretending to be Kyoshi was hilarious.
Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. But to conclude the Aang and Zuko talk, they talk about the calligraphy brush. They relate over their calligraphy lessons. I like that overall. Yeah, I think that's some good stuff. Like we said, this is a rare type of like human connection moment that has been lacking. And then Aang knocks him out after he gets
So
triggered,
funny.
and he says, "I have a feeling you've been hurt more than enough." Which I thought was funny, but it's not supposed to be, obviously. But that's I mean, I guess like that's the type of line. If they say it once, even if it's kind of dumbly dramatic, it's okay. But the thing that gets to me is like them repeating that compassion is a sign of weakness. The other thing they repeated was Zhao says when Aang is held hostage, which I thought to locate him chained up, I thought that worked in live action. I thought that looked good. He's like, we'll keep you. He doesn't say we'll keep you alive just barely. He says we'll keep you alive. You'll live though not well. Okay, change, fine. But we're emphasizing that he's not going to kill him. But then Zhao knocks him down, and they have him surrounded. He's like, wait, I need him alive. And then Zuko's like, oh, and then he puts his swords up to his
He
throat.
draws blood.
And blood in Avatar. That's true. That's a big.
Oh
anyway,
my
I thought that's like
Game of Thrones.
I know, right?
It's so Game of Thrones. They needed to repeat that. It's annoying to me. It's like no, you can't even trust the audience to remember something from like 5 minutes ago. But I guess it's Zuko's so stupid you need to spell it out for him to have a good tactic.
I think so.
He is a little dumb. It's okay.
The fight stuff, I thought Aang and Zuko fighting together was done pretty well.
I enjoyed it. It was good.
Yeah.
The sword play is always fun. I think every time Zuko fights, it's like the best.
I'm not sure that I don't remember how well it was set up in an animated Avatar, but Zuko being able to fight like this felt a little random in the show.
I do agree with that. I also felt that.
Does
I'm
he have no build up? He does stuff with swords. He can move like that. Like I kind of had no idea. We haven't seen him fight that much here.
Yeah.
I did think that the when they were not trapezing, but just like they're making their way across the courtyard up in the air onto the stilts. I don't know if that translated as well from animation. It seemed kind of hokey.
Yeah, and then Zhao comes in and just like knocks him down. It's like anyone could have done that.
Yeah, what's everyone else doing? Yeah.
It's the stormtroopers. They don't know.
I like that. I like giving Zhao the moment though. It's nice.
I had a problem with the Blue Spirit's mask design in particular. It was a very faithful adaptation from the show, but I think this kind of highlights where it doesn't translate into live action. Just doesn't work. And so 2 episodes ago, I made a big deal about Boomy looking weird because that was like an 80-year-old face on a 30-year-old body. What's going on? And the feedback on the podcast was like, well, no, like in the animated show, also he had a ripped body. So I'm like, I was like, what? And I go look and it's like, okay, I guess that is true. But yet somehow it looked less silly in animated form than if you just drop it into live action. It's weird. So in this case, that mask, sure, okay, it's a good adaptation. It is completely impractical for if you're trying to sneak around, especially a firebending encampment where everyone's wearing face masks anyways. So,
also, it's ginormous and very obviously made of plastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff, I think it's a good point that even if it's something that they're doing similar to the show, the fact that it was animated and it's partly a kid's show and also not in HD. I mean, I think that these are things that you need to consider when you're like, we're going to do this the exact same way. It's like, I don't know if you can change the Blue Spirit mask because it's so iconic, but you should consider that you can't. It's not necessarily sufficient to do the exact same thing in all these aspects.
Or make it look like Zuko made it in his room.
Or give him a hood, or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree that they default to copying instead of trying to adapt for the medium in some instances, at least. I think in other instances they probably try to change it for what this show is, but you could definitely argue it hurts it visually in these instances.
It's my wife keeps complaining. She's like, he is an orange. He is not hard to find.
Yeah. It's the outfits really pop for sure.
No, he never goes into a disguise at all.
Never.
But there's no filler for him. Oh, filler, quote unquote, for him to go into disguise for.
We're talking
Very
about
sad.
Aang being in the Fire Nation.
Yeah. By the way, I'm thinking we've seen Gordon now that he's several years older, and he has kind of the season 3 Aang hair. And I'm wondering if they're just gonna like go to the season 3 Aang hair in season 2. Like, why just move it up? Like, I don't know why you need some other reason to, but maybe they'll just keep it for earlier on.
You just can't find a razor.
A good rock.
Yeah, yeah. I guess so. Yeah. Any other thoughts on the stronghold, the fighting? Yeah, I think it's like a perfectly good live action version of a good.
It would have been
episode.
nice if you like strung them up, but it's okay.
I liked the partying guards. I thought they were fun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One
Bringing
of them
wine
says
in.
to another, "Man, I missed your ugly butt."
Yes.
Yeah, that's funny.
Is that them attempting to
He
replicate
was like, "I've never
Avatar's?
been so happy to see your ugly face because he had booze."
Yeah.
It was real good.
The Avatar's famous guard dialogue is probably too funny for the show overall, though.
It's true.
Yeah.
True.
So they gotta get drunk and like party. You know,
Mhm.
why not? That's
Yeah.
what adults do, right?
When Zhao says we have the Avatar, tomorrow he'll go to the Fire Nation, but we'll have to party tonight in this one day before we hand him off.
And you know what? Because they partied, that's why they got their butts kicked. Because
That's
they're
true.
too drunk.
Let that be a lesson for you children.
They got-
exactly.
Got their butts kicked by children.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Zhao's speech. I don't know. I love it. I think I could see it being varying levels of success. I'm remembering it fondly though.
I will say
from
he's
this
very
episode.
I will say it felt to me very suddenly like he kicked into like.
It was sudden. It
Zhao.
was sudden. Yeah.
But I think it's okay. We have to
I-
get there. Like we have to get full on like the Moon Killer. Like
Yeah, so I was very worried how we would do more Littlefinger Zhao when we're getting to the Moonslayer, but now we've kind of gotten him there closer, so it should work a little better, but I'm still pretty worried about that. But look, he was not one of he didn't hurt this episode, so we'll see. Let's go through all the flashbacks with Zuko. I highlighted the 4 of them here, so we can kind of quickly go through, but the main one being the Agni Kai. But we start the episode. Iroh's helping Zuko with his uniform before the War Council meeting. I believe an original flashback. I would assume.
yeah, he's so cute in his little outfit and his hair.
His hair. I like
Smile.
that. I like that he still looks like 20, but he's got like different hair, so now he's younger.
It's great.
Of how whiny he is.
Yeah, I do.
Tell
Fix
me.
it. It looks stupid. Gauntlet's wrong. Dumb.
So he is still 13 here, yes?
Yeah,
That's
right.
never established, is it?
Yeah, they don't establish, but presumably.
Okay.
I liked Iroh's line, like, how do I look? You look like a prince, because, like, oh, his son was a prince too.
Wow, Jeff, why you gotta do that?
Ow.
We're all gonna cry.
What the hell, man?
I think this show has done a good job letting Zuko and Iroh be affectionate.
Yes.
Yes.
I got that sense here that Zuko and it's before his trauma, capital T, but he's like I was being kind of.
I don't know. I
affectionate
think
to
he's
him.
still traumatized before this if they're doing the stuff with Ursa that they did in the original.
Which they seem to be hinting at.
Yeah, but this is the trauma from this season that
With big capital T. is
big
what you're
cap,
saying.
yeah, the physical manifestation of his
Gotcha.
trauma. That is his scar. That is the unsubtleness of the original show. That we're,
Yep.
if you think about it. But so what do we? Okay, we'll get there in a second. I was going to ask about the scar, but yeah, it's a nice. I think it's a nice scene. We get the War Council flashback, their version of what we see in the episode. Zuko. I don't remember Zuko having such bad suggestions. I don't know if that was in the.
No,
I mean,
it
show.
wasn't.
Wait,
Uh,
what do you mean?
I know Zuko objects to sacrificing, but before he's like, "Oh, we should do this movement instead." In here.
Oh, yeah,
Or
no,
we
he didn't.
Yeah, so I felt like they were just kind of trying to expand it. I don't know,
Yeah.
this scene, just make it longer. But
Make Zuko even more of a disappointment than he already is. Really set that up that
from-
he's
yeah.
disappointing Ozai.
Yeah. He's like, you don't sacrifice them. There's he says it's like bad. They repeat it, so I should have remembered. It's another thing they repeat, but yeah. And then Ozai like There is only one way to resolve this. Agni Kai. To me, that's one for the Quote Lodge. That's for
I will say, he is just so pretty.
He's gorgeous, man.
So
are you distracted, Daniel Day Kim's gorgeousness, by the fact that he's absolutely awful here, and we're seeing more of him being awful in this show than
he's so pretty.
He's very
Me and my wife are like, wow.
Two lesbians distracted by a really hot man.
He's so pretty.
Yes.
But we do get to see more of him here, and it's not like they're giving him subtlety or redeeming aspects. It's more just like more of terrible Ozai in this show.
I have seen people say that. Are we talking about like full on talking about the Agni Kai now? Because I've seen people complain.
Let's move to the Agni Kai. So I there have been, I believe, because I've been generally trying to avoid stuff, but now that I've seen the episode, I believe people do not like that here Zuko fights back to some extent after Ozai starts attacking him, whereas in the animated The Storm, he just kind of kneels in front of him and says, no, I'm not going to fight back. And he doesn't fight back at all, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just like,
Correct.
no,
Yes.
I'm not doing this. But here, we turn it into somewhat of a fight
about.
scene. Yeah.
Which I don't... I mean, I thought it was done well.
Ultimately, though, Zuko has a chance to actually do some damage and clearly does not.
He could have won the Agni Kai and he doesn't.
Yeah, or at least
and that's the whole point about like Ozai's pissed. He's like, no, finish me, fatality.
Yeah.
Well, my issue with the Agni Kai is that this is what is like wrong with the show.
Go on.
They're like, we are going, like, we you know, they built this up. They're like, we're going to have the Agni Kai. It's going to be super dramatic. We have to have them fist fight each other. Like, we're going to do the Agni Kai. We had to make it a fight because it's not as cool and as exciting as Zuko just sitting there.
Yes, because kind of what the brilliance of an episode like The Storm is you don't have to have this big action sequence climax. It's this very emotional build up to Zuko just surrendering. And here, I do think their primary motivation is turning it into a fight scene. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Like, that's what it feels like to us watching. It feels like they have to get in mandatory action scenes.
Yeah, that's what it feels like with the whole show. Like, they're like, we're doing these things because it looks cool, not because of what it matters to the plot.
They at least have some relevant plot to, given that it's an action scene, they turn it into the fact that he didn't like that he hesitated as opposed to not fight back. So they do something with it. Maybe that's their motivation, but it just comes across like, Netflix live action show, we have to have a fight here instead of a non-fight.
Like, why did they show the genocide of the Airbenders?
Same reason. Yeah.
That's the problem I have with this adaptation. They're like, it's just for
a question for everyone here, because I've seen people be upset about this and I didn't get that vibe. Did you guys get the vibe that Ozai was sad when he burned Zuko? Because
no,
I did not, but people were like, there are tears in his eyes, and I was like, that's just the flame in his retinas.
I had a little bit of like a sense that he felt like not like a shameful disappointment, but like, oh, my only son, I must teach him this lesson. How upsetting.
Yeah, I think so. I think
that is fair.
In his own way, he's a product of his own trauma and terribleness with this situation, and so he feels like this is the correct way to parent, so he has to hurt his son, who I do think he probably does love, and I think we get that sense from this show that there is some level of love that he has. So he doesn't. I don't get the sense he's taking a lot of joy in burning Zuko.
I don't think he has sick enjoyment out of it. He is a messed up guy, though. I will say, you were going to talk about the scar. I do think this scene makes it even worse how bad Zuko's scar looks. I'm going to burn his face for 2 minutes, but it's just this.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Is it too subtle?
Also, at really close proximity, it does not look like his whole face should be burned off. He should not have skin
we
there.
get a much close quarters burning here, then I feel like.
It's ridiculous.
He shouldn't have any skin at all. He should look like the Phantom of the Opera, no skin on his...
Yeah, for real, though.
It doesn't make any sense.
Jeff, what did you think of the Agni Kai in general? Also, do you have an opinion on Zuko fighting back more than in the animated show?
I thought it played well. I don't have any complaints about it's not being faithful. I think it was a good invention.
Yeah.
I will say my issue isn't that they fought. It's that like this is like what's wrong with the show overall. If that makes sense.
I feel that I think
the fight looks cool.
To stand up for the people complaining about it, not that we need to ever, but it's like I think what they did was fine. It's just that it was much more effective in the animated The Storm of him just completely
also,
capitulating like that.
Because of the way it works with Aang, they both refuse to do their quote unquote duty. So
we lose that whole comparison.
They're great foils to each other, and we lose that whole thing. And that's why their conversation in the barn doesn't hit as hard. Like, do you think we could have been friends? Like, they don't know how similar they are, and we don't know how similar they are watching this.
They're trying to do a different thing because they relate over their
I mean, it's fine if they're trying to do a different thing completely, but they're doing half and half, and it just doesn't work the way they want it to.
Trying to get to the same place through a slightly different but less effective means.
I don't know if they're trying to get to the same place. It doesn't feel like they are.
But in this Agni Kai, though, I'm not super offended Zuko's fighting back. It's just that it's just frustrating because they made a change that was less effective.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you could have. This is one instance where you could have just done.
Also, they said compassion like 25 times.
It's the M. Night Shyamalan effect. With, instead of beliefs, it's compassion.
I just find it very funny that Zuko's trigger word is compassion.
I agree, and not honor. Shocking.
Yeah. He still hasn't. Has he said honor once yet in this series?
No. Yeah. Let's come back to that. Why does Zuko not say honor in this show?
Like, why do y'all hate us? Like,
I thought it makes me sad.
No Katang, no honor.
Like, what is even the point of Avatar?
No,
what are we doing here?
Katara has said hope. At least
can we go home? I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
I would say one of the 5 most iconic things about Avatar, very vaguely, is Zuko saying honor a lot.
Yeah. And Katara talking about hope.
No, I don't think that's like quite as top.
Yes,
maybe
it
top
is.
10.
They
I don't know.
Fun of it in the Ember Island Players for a reason.
Zuko with the honor is like
they make fun of
Avatar.
Both of those things in the Ember Island Players for a reason, Dylan. I will fight you on this. Katara always talks about hope.
They don't get to decide in their parody episode what the most iconic things are. We get to decide. No, we get to decide. They're mostly accurate, but Zuko's honor is on. That's like this show. Like that is so weird, and we didn't even think about it. We obviously referenced it maybe in the first podcast.
Maybe it's too on the nose for them. Which is funny to think about.
It's too campy for this show, and the show is trying not to be campy, despite the fact that they are unintentionally campy when they do things like repeat the same lines. And
then Jeff says they all look like cosplayers the whole time,
which is fine.
Yeah,
which is I guess why I like the Zhao stuff here, because I do think that they are intentionally being campy for one of the first times in this entire show. For the most part, they're removing all the intentional campiness, which I think the honor stuff is like maybe at first in Avatar, when they start doing it, it's not there. They don't realize that it's funny. I don't know, but at some point, pretty quickly, it becomes like a in-show meme type thing, like pretty early on in Avatar. And you just, it is very weird. And I don't know. And this reminds me, Zhao at one point, he's like, say, this word instead of this word to the guy, right? It's like we have to replace honor with synonyms. That's the writers for this show being Zhao.
If he doesn't say it, I genuinely forgot if he doesn't say it in the last few episodes. If he doesn't say it once.
I believe he's not said it. So like, seriously, here are the changes. We're like, considering they did a shot for shot for several episodes, Zuko does not say honor. Aang does not have a crush on Katara. Aang has not waterbended once. It's pretty wild what things these fundamental things they're changing.
It's very confusing.
And yet it's basically the same show.
I don't know if that's true.
I mean, it's the same show in that they like resurrected its shambling corpse.
I think that's the most accurate description, I think.
I didn't expect this to be our most negative podcast. I seriously think that if you're going to rank these episodes, this is probably one. I mean, if not, it's up there.
It's a better one, but it's still, I mean, it should be getting more better at the pace we're supposed to be going, and it's just not getting as good as
we do like
there's potential here, and this is also them adapting 2 of the best episodes of the animated show, and so of course it's going to be good to some extent. It's
really just giving more credit to what they had to work with, not what they did with it.
That is what confuses me. I'm like, okay, so you have made the conscious decision to do this.
I will say, as we've read, this episode is the second episode to have Mike and Brian in the writing credits. We have a story by Mike and Brian in addition to others.
Beginning to see why Mike and Brian were like, I'm out.
Teleplay by other people and Brian. This would, like I've been saying, I just think this means they probably started from a script from them, but then completely changed it. But it's kind of interesting. If you more interesting than the show we actually got. Let's talk about when Mike and Brian were on the show, when they're making the show, because the fact that they did script work on this episode maybe means that they started writing the first episode and then immediately started writing the Blue Spirit episode.
Why would that happen though?
Maybe that, if they're trying to do like very early development work, they're like, what are the key parts that we want to show from season 1? Blue Spirit. I mean, we know that Brian especially always loves the Blue Spirit. So
that's true. Yeah.
They're like, we're going to start here as the foundation, start to write this, and then we kind of work from there. That's potentially what that shows me. Obviously that's a lot of speculating, but, as we move towards Avatar Studios, that type of thing is way more interesting than anything we got going on here. But, we knew they loved Blue Spirit, and, maybe their work paid off in that stuff from the actual show makes its way pretty clearly into here. So I don't know. But anyway, the last Zuko flashback, and feel free to come back to the Agni Kai. Oh, by the way, from the Agni Kai, Azula's watching like normal, correct?
I think so.
But I was like, I thought it was May twice. Like both times I watched, I'm like, this is May.
Me too.
But it's Azula. She just has her hair, I think. Like it just looks so similar to how they did live action May. But I had to like tell myself, no, they're doing Azula. It's not supposed to be May. Anyway, we have a flashback of Zuko's recovery. Was this scene at all in the storm? I don't remember.
No.
Okay. So I like that.
Yeah, I did like this scene.
Everything they're doing with the Fire Nation is good.
Yes. I like how Iroh stood up to his brother.
Yes.
Yeah, that's nice. He does a few times here. He could have during the actual Agni Kai, he could have jumped in a little more.
He did. He said he's your son.
Yeah,
and I said
at the point where he's dramatically burning him for several seconds, maybe you like.
Yeah, I mean, you would think
shove him away, but obviously that would maybe result in him dying. So I can understand.
I guess it makes sense for like a nation of firebenders to have salves that really are good at healing burns.
I like this justification for the more subtle scar. Okay. It does make sense. You would think that they would have that down.
Well, because of
they even had that
in Korra, right? Is what you're going to talk about? The healer, the firebending healer lady?
I don't remember that.
Guys! Come on.
You're the Korra expert.
But it's the first one episode where season 2 started to take a turn for the better.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeff, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Oh, I think they had actual dialogue in this episode. Be like, someone just invented a really good cure just for you, and you should have minimal scarring.
Okay, he does say that. That is true. They do comment on it.
Not a cure, though, just like medicine or something?
Yeah, medicine.
Yeah, so Ozai's comes in and he's like, you need to, that's what makes us Fire Nation. We sacrifice the weak. Like,
okay.
All right,
dude. Sure.
Like
it does strike me, this line especially. It's just like, if we're gonna bring Ozai in, we could make him a more complete character. We could, but
we can make him extra evil.
Yeah, that's kind of just the direction they went, which makes sense considering this show.
Yeah, it does, but it has more of an effect in the show if you don't see him as a person.
True. I will say I do enjoy seeing him pit Azula and Zuko against each other.
I do too. I think it works really well. It's legit just an Asian drama, and that is also what I've been hearing from my Asian friends who have watched this version.
Okay, that's good. Good to hear.
Okay, I'm gonna have to make my mom watch it. She loves watching Chinese dramas. I can't wait.
Yeah,
for her
she would like the Fire Nation stuff, I think.
Which they do like Avatar, and I've told them to watch. But also, they need to wait until I'm done because Netflix is stupid.
Okay, we're in the password sharing on our Netflix. No way.
On our Netflix.
On my Netflix, Zuko
in front of my salad.
Zuko argues back to him, says, "You need to give them a chance to be strong."
Honestly, good for him, considering he's laying there after his dad just like
but then he gets banished because of that, though. So maybe not a smart move.
But I like that he stood up for his morals.
Yeah, it was it was nice. I mean, you know,
To be
it's
fair,
it's not even
he's gonna kill me now.
Yeah, that's true. Not even the
what are you gonna do? Firebend at me?
Are you gonna burn my other eye?
Sorry, Dylan.
They should have said that. They should have done that. I would have respected that campiness if we were to do burn my other eye. No, anyway, so he says, since you're so concerned with the 41st Division, take them with you as your crew. And
Perfect
then Iroh
change.
tells G that. Okay, well, let's talk about that because
Absolutely perfect change. No notes.
I have notes. It's more of I want to have a discussion notes than I
know. I'm
think
joking.
this is bad. You know, like I think emotionally this is a great beat. And it brings in G and the crew and Iroh here, and I think that is really good. They're alive because of Zuko's sacrifice. I'm questioning the logic of Ozai doing this.
Makes no sense because, like, okay, so you still had to change your plan, and you ultimately did what Zuko wanted. Like,
so we're doing what Zuko wanted, and you're banishing him, and you're actually just giving him an entire crew. The only logic I can see is that this is like the newbies. Like, here's the incompetents you were standing up for, and now you have to deal with them.
Pretty much. That was the logic I got, which makes sense because he's like, this is the consequences of your actions. You're getting banished, and you're responsible for a bunch of dummies. Like,
which is, I think that's their intent.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you're still giving him an entire crew, and you're not actually sacrificing them.
I guess it's fine. Just because like the banishment is obviously the worst part.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I
fine.
wonder if he's just gonna get like another division of new recruits and
It's a good question.
sacrifice
That was
them.
my thought. Like,
That's
even in
what I
the
was
original
wondering.
show, like, what happened? Did he put the 34th Division on the front lines?
I would
It's-
assume that is what happened in the animated show. In this, I don't know.
I also partly, I mean, other than the fact that, like, he's like, sure, take care of these dum-dums, like, that's more responsibility. It's also salt in the wound. Like, you're going to have to live with this. Like, you have to look these people in the face and, like, remember that this is what you sacrificed your position on the throne for. Like, every day you wake up on the
Totally.
ship.
Every day you want to punch Lieutenant G.
That's good. I like that too. I like
It's
that
the vibe
too.
I got. It's very,
And
like,
explain,
middle finger.
it explains like why he was so irritated with G all the time. It's
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you
That's
don't know what
true-
I did
that's
for
true,
you and
too.
what I had to
My
sacrifice to do
favorite-
for you.
Is
Yeah.
Lieutenant G being like, but we're the 41st. My wife was like, wow.
Yeah, that was so unnecessary. Again, punching down to the audience. Like,
My
come
wife-
on, we're not that dumb.
Oh yeah, but okay. Here's another one for
G
the.
ain't that dumb.
Here's another one for the dumb quotes. G in the beginning complaining about Zuko and Iroh. Everyone
be a
says
prince.
he may be a prince, but
But he's not our prince. That was like,
Yeah, everyone says that. Everybody.
We all say
everyone.
that.
You ask anyone. That's
He
what
may
they'll
be a
say.
prince, but he's not our prince. Oh my god!
And then
so
I
good.
was like,
That's
let
so
me
deep.
tell you something.
Very
So
Game of
deep,
Thrones.
too.
Mr.
Overall, I
Button
love G
chops.
though in this show.
G is great. He's the best character.
what if we did a ranking and he's the best character?
He's
That's,
number one.
okay. This is what they should do. They should do a retelling of Avatar from the perspective of
G.
It would be interesting. That would, you could see that type of
Yeah.
Ember Island Players episode.
I'm telling, like, I know we joke about that, but I've been saying pretty much on every Avatar podcast since Korra ended, that's the kind of Avatar story I want to see. Is something that doesn't revolve around the Avatar and his crew, just people who are living in their era. Like, come
okay,
on.
and they're
wanna
like having to deal with the consequences. They're like, oh my god, the Avatar did this.
Yeah, if you see something from
and
the
my
Cabbage
life
Man's
sucks.
perspective, his life is just ruined every day. His livelihood is
Cabbage
destroyed.
Man.
Yeah, but what you're saying, Allie, is you want to see like the Twilight book. They do the Edward perspective Twilight book.
Well, not even the Edward perspective, like the Charlie perspective.
Isn't that
They
the
do one
Zuko
from, like,
perspective
Bree
series?
or some rando vampire at some point?
Yeah, Bree is murdered very early on. My
Who's
mother read
Bree?
this, and I heard all
Yeah,
about
I don't
it.
remember
Yeah,
that name
exactly.
Who is that? Okay.
She's
Some
the-
rando vampire who was like,
She's
No, why are we
you
not
get
talking
it?
about Teen Wolf? because
Renesmee
of,
perspective.
She was one of the Renesmee. She's the babe. Like Bree is one of the first vampires. Like Victoria changes.
Which one is
I'm-
the wolf who dies?
Why are you talking
That's
about
the
this?
perspective.
Why are we talking about
brought
Twilight?
it
I was
up.
answering her question.
Because I was gonna.
You literally
because I was
brought it up, you jerk.
I was memeing on you. I was like, "What Twilight actors are in this show?" And the answer is almost certainly none, because there's no Asian people in Twilight. So
Well, there
that
are native
answers
people
that.
here. Are there native
Oh yeah,
people? in Twilight?
that's true. Well, yeah,
They
no,
had
that
native
is
actors.
true.
Bring
Yeah,
Taylor
yeah.
Lautner in for season 2.
The werewolves. No, honestly, let's get him
Okay,
in.
Taylor
there.
Lautner should be a Fire Nation guard.
Yeah.
He
That would
could
be
be
funny if he had a
Haru.
guy.
cameo.
Oh my god,
Wow.
make Taylor Lautner Haru, give him a
What if he's like the boulder?
give him a goatee.
Oh, he could be the boulder. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean they need a
wow.
big buff guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they would be Asian, not indigenous, but like you could do whatever.
Look, I don't care if it's Taylor
We
Lautner.
have white people in the water tribes.
I honestly, I bet they get rid of the boulder entirely and that whole wrestling.
I'm
Oh,
sure.
no.
No, they have to
It's-
keep their wrestling bit at least.
No,
but
it's
probably
too
the
it's
boulder.
too full of joy for this show.
But that's her whole thing. She's the blind bandit.
They'll come up with they'll make her like an actual like robber, like yeah.
That's so lame.
Are they gonna keep her name? Do you think?
Toph. Yeah, I think she'll. Be
No,
Toph.
the blind.
Oh my god, you're such a butt. Okay, obviously we want like indigenous actors, but The Rock as the boulder would be so funny.
The Rock is a Pacific Islander. They could have him for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Literally put him like.
that'd be the dream casting. I feel like for sure.
Well, what
Even do
the
it.
boulder kind of is the Rock.
Yeah, that's what he.
Yeah.
Duh, that's the thing.
Sam.
And he's voiced by actual wrestler.
Yeah,
though,
he's
so
voiced by like
yeah.
Mick
Is
Foley,
he?
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
If they did like a literal Emperor Island Platers episode and they brought literally The Rock in, that would be amazing.
That would be.
It
bomb.
would make the
For
show
sure.
worth it if we got
That'd be
The Rock.
incredible.
He would not stoop solo though. He only stoops solo in movies, not for TV.
I'm like, he was Black Adam. I think he could handle it.
Yeah, he could handle it, that's for
Ouch.
sure.
Like,
Low blow.
Black Adam may be better than the show, maybe
Uh,
questionable. Okay, so we will find out in the finale how the balance of power of the Avatar universe has changed. Okay, back to this episode. The anything else from this flashback? No, we got that, and we get the slow bowing and stuff.
I thought that
and,
was so lame.
It was
It
lame.
would have been cooler if they didn't make Zuko walk so slow.
I
Like
didn't
the
realize they
emotion was
were
supposed
all-
to be there.
I didn't
but
realize we're all gonna bow the whole time. I was like, oh.
I do like how they kept the actual Fire Nation bow from the show, like with the hand
Yeah.
movements, and I don't know
Yeah.
how accurate that is to like very old East Asian culture, but it might be.
It also just feels like we're emphasizing bowing more, which
Yeah, which
makes
is good.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
It's
like
again
that
like
aspect.
talking down to the viewer, like you're
A
so
bit.
dumb you don't understand how momentous this was. No one need to bash you over the head with it.
To make it go like 5 miles.
We have
an
to
hour.
like go really big with the moment. Yeah.
I do enjoy
I'm-
Zuko being like, what on earth is going
Yeah,
on?
he has no idea what's
It's
happening.
the music night. Which
I do like how
remember
Iroh
night. Where's
didn't
music
tell
night,
him
guys?
that he.
I like they mentioned Music Night, which of course they don't
Yeah.
show, but they tell us about. Sure.
If they just give me like a brief shot of Iroh's horn, I'd be okay with that. But no.
the Tsugi horn.
it would be nice.
You know,
go ahead.
Oh, I had a thought. It went away. I'll remember it in 5 minutes.
No.
Poor Jeff.
Well, I'm about to get your last thoughts in. I'm about to change to Roku.
Oh yeah.
So,
Okay. Speaking of music, right?
Yes.
They let's look at that scene with the bowing, the walking, no music. How awkward. would
Was
that
there
be?
not music?
I thought there was music. Was there not?
No, there was. Sorry, I thought you were saying there wasn't music.
No, I'm saying yes, there was music because music makes it dramatic and tells you how to feel. But imagine being in that scenario with no music.
Oh.
Like I don't know, and Zuko's just like, "What on earth?"
They're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Someone's gonna have to do. You know the people on YouTube who do music videos with no music.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's true. Oh my god, that's really awkward.
Music check-in. I feel like I heard the Blue Spirit theme probably a little bit, and I heard when we go to the Stronghold, the big Fire Nation beat. But in
Yes.
general, I'm still finding it a little too subtle. I
agree.
Agreed.
I do.
I'd really
wanna
like to
say-
hear the cues.
'cause I
Very
was
much agree.
podcast that I heard Leaves on the Vine and started crying, and then Leaves on the Vine hadn't started yet. My wife's like, "Oh, they're gonna make me cry every
Oh
episode."
yeah, the funeral flashback.
You know, and then they start, and I was like, "I'm fine." And
That
then
was
Leaves
the
on
one
Vine starts
time-
playing, and I'm like,
The one time so far they really emphasized like the original score, and it worked very well. And they need to do it more often.
I
Yeah.
agree.
But it was also like it wasn't just like we're playing a theme for a character. It was like that was the story, was playing the music, and like to some
Mhm.
extent, and so it's like of course they're going to emphasize it. But yeah, I mean if they did that more often, the
But,
show
like,
is so like melodramatic. What's the daytime drama like? Just have the
Soap
big blaring
opera?
music, soap opera.
Well,
have
that's
the big blaring
even
music.
with
cue.
like it's not the right music at the right times. I don't think like with the Agni Kai and the breaking out of the Fire Nation camp with the Blue Spirit, it was too much like trumpet and not enough percussion. Like you didn't hear like the like you hear in the original show.
Like, you have the analysis on it.
Well,
from
it's
the
like
concept,
Fire
so-
Nation music is like it's specific to like each region's music and instruments are specific, and they didn't really keep that with this show, which I am not a fan of. So yeah, do better.
Okay.
I will
Okay,
say
do
I
better.
am like my favorite part of every episode is the beginning where we get like the tiniest little bit of the original theme, and then I don't get to hear any more really good music until the next
Sad.
episode starts.
Or no, until the credits, because you get the original theme, the original end theme
Yes.
in every
Very
credits,
sad.
which is
Okay.
nice.
Let's quickly the rest of the stuff. Avatar Roku, we finally meet.
Goober.
I did
No,
not like that.
no one likes Roku online. Everyone's pissed about Roku.
He does a bit to start off where
Which, like, that should have been Boomy. Why is it Roku?
I don't remember Roku being very jokey.
He was not at
No.
all. He was very stone-faced serious.
I won't lie. Roku's voice, I was like, where's my gravely old man? Who are you?
Yeah,
Right?
I guess we're contrasting him with Kyoshi, is why we have him joke to start.
but that's
Probably.
not his character.
Okay, also, why we just keep talking about Avatar Kuruk, and I'm like, why couldn't we have shown him where he at?
Yeah, we reference
That
Kuruk.
really irritated me.
So he does the joking.
He's
There's some good
busy.
stuff. He really says avatars are their own people. He talks about you can be a diplomat too. You don't have to just do what Kyoshi
I will say, I
said.
thought his jokes were funny.
That's
Did
good.
you?
There'll be painful consequences if you fail. I feel like if you fail with like diplomacy, I feel like referencing Avatar and the Fire Lord stuff.
Mhm.
I'm so sorry that you were friends with the Fire Lord. This is a you problem.
I'm sorry you were friends with the Fire Lord and didn't establish your boundaries properly.
It's your fault.
Look, he just has personal, emotional consequences
I'm sorry
from his best friend
you didn't
slash
kiss your
potential
boyfriend enough.
lover. Yeah,
Yeah,
Like,
I'm so sorry. This is your fault.
Sorry you didn't tell your boyfriend you love him and cherish him enough, and that made him want to conquer the world.
I
Man,
mean, he
the
can
problem-
be sad about it.
I
And
will
he
say
can
the
be sad about it,
problem-
but he's playing the victim here.
I'm glad I don't have past lives, or that at least I don't know about them, because like I don't want them dumping their trauma on me.
Good thing they're gone, Delaney. Good
No!
thing-
Oh my god.
Why'd you bring it up?
Well, the only
That
past
is a-
life
that is a
you
good
would
joke,
have,
that past
it would be
lives dump their trauma on
Korra,
you.
so
That's
you
a
get
good
to
joke.
have all her trauma dump on you, and she has the most
Oh
trauma.
God, Korra. Yeah, I think we've joked about this before, but you don't want Korra as your
No,
Avatar
your
mentor.
one past
Oh,
life.
God.
It's like the second Avatar after one. They wake up and they're like, "What the hell is going
just
on?"
Korra. Oh my gosh,
I
And we
Oh,
love
listen,
Korra, and we
Give
love
Korra
Korra.
some more credit.
No, I love her,
Maybe-
but she has a lot going on. You don't.
Maybe
want that.
maybe she'll be wise when she's.
It's a
older.
lot to live up
No
to,
way.
is my thing. Like
She's changed in book 4.
No, I
she
think
went through
Korra-
all that.
No, the problem is Korra is like in the spirit world, like practicing, so that when it happens, Korra like just word vomits at you, and you're like, oh my god.
It's therapy time.
What else? Yeah, whatever. Okay, the mother faces. So we get the totem from the mother faces,
Yeah, this
crafted
is why it was
faces created
confusing.
identity,
I
Ko's
thought it was
mother.
last episode, but it's here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is from the Search comic for Zuko's mother. I don't remember too much about mother faces, but I guess they recap the basics here.
They give
Um,
you a face if you want one. I think.
Oh yeah, doesn't Mother Faces gives Zuko's mom a new face? Spoilers
Yeah,
for
but I think
we
it's also
just-
like
we
when
just
people
spoiled
are
the whole thing.
born, I'm the one who gives them their face or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Identity, etc.
Yeah. Talked about like the god of identity, basically.
She points
Um,
at a baby and says, "You're gay."
Thank you,
Yeah.
Mother Faces.
And is Ko's mother.
Cool.
Did the books or the comics explain why Roku stole that thing in the first place? Because this show did not.
This is made up.
I think
That's
the whole
made up.
totem thing's just not. Yeah.
No, the
'Cause I
totem
think the
is-
Mother Faces is real, but
Yeah, but the totem is this original.
Yeah,
So-
Mother Faces is in the comics. This totem not.
Yeah,
The thing
he
is,
stole
they-
it because Aang needed to come to the
Yeah, it's
palace.
dumb.
that's good foresight by him.
I will say this is stupid. I'm sorry. This whole little thing is stupid.
They have
That's the
Ko wants the thing. You really feel like you're missing something. 'Cause
That's the
it's
thing.
like,
It
oh,
only
he stole this
feels
from
like
Ko,
a
and-
reference to like fans of the OG material, and it's just fan service with no purpose other than to be fan.
But it's like
service.
not even a real fan service. It's like
no, it's just a mention in
It's
a
fan
stupid
service to, like,
format that doesn't
four
make
the whole
any
thing with the
sense.
totem. You're waiting for them to give the story, and there's no story. Yeah.
No.
Right. And then somehow he takes it out of the room, and then he puts it on his person, I guess, and then it keeps on him through
It's
one
terrible.
capture,
It makes
two
no
prisoner exchanges, and the end of the spirit world. Like Seriously, no one searched him. And
Yeah, I was
it?
confused the first time I watched it because it seems like he takes it in the spirit world, but then there is a shot of him taking it in the physical world from that guy's.
Yeah, I was confused about
that guy's dad or grandfather's collection, and then
that shelf was kind of lame. I was looking at it and I was like, damn, I could buy that shelf right now.
It's not enough paraphernalia.
Not even that. I just thought that the shelf itself, like I could go down to a store and buy that exact shelf. It didn't feel very whimsical, TBH.
Okay, yeah.
The Fire Nation shops at IKEA.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he takes it back from
I feel
the
like
Tower
IKEA
Temple.
is more whimsical than whatever the Fire Nation has going on.
You might be right.
Roku overall, he was fine.
He
He's a
didn't
nothing
say anything
fan.
about comments.
Oh, they don't. I
don't
just
mention
literally.
the
We've
No.
been talking about this, and I didn't even remember it until they don't set up Sozin's Comet and the timeline. They don't. I was sure we were going to do that in this
No.
episode.
Nope.
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 There's just no countdown in the
No.
show. I mean, I
Which
guess
is
there
why
can't
I'm
be.
like, when are they getting to like the establishment that there is going to be a time skip? Because
So
we
what's
know
the
there's going
deal?
to be
So
one.
what's the deal? So we have to get to the north because Kiyoshi had a vision or whatever. So
So
what's
instead
next? They're
there's
gonna be
a
like,
vision.
here's another vision of Ba Sing Se. Okay.
Oh,
so
yeah.
are
Here's
we-
the drill.
Are we just going to start
still don't know about
season?
the comments?
We start book 2 in this show, and it's like they've been on vacation for 3 years. Like they don't have to do anything,
Yeah.
and it's many years later.
The beach is a 3-year-long episode.
I'd be fine with that.
Beach episode.
3-year long. That sounds great, but
I feel like
that
Aang would
this
spend
format,
those
though.
3 years perhaps practicing the elements a bit more.
You would like to. Then we don't
that's why
see
they
it,
didn't
though.
show him practicing it here because he can do it off
But
screen.
Yep.
God.
What if he just does? I know you guys have seen it. What if he just doesn't waterbend in the north either? What if he just until he's in like Koizilla
Allie's
form, then he can
little
finally do some
giggle,
stuff.
Oh
my
God.
What if he just doesn't? Until he's in the Avatar state, he can't waterbend. That's the only time this whole season. That would be.
I'm
I
not
I
saying
have a little bit of a gripe about it all. Like, how can he prove to anybody that he's the Avatar, not just some rando airbender? Because he can only
Right? 'Cause
airbend.
he hasn't bent
It's true.
one
It's
thing.
true.
He hasn't
So-
even. We didn't get to meet Jong. He didn't try to bend fire.
Well, I'm mad
Just
about
air.
Come on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it seems very much like, how can he prove he's the Avatar to these people?
You're right.
He's just
You're
some
so right.
random
to the
airbender.
fire sages, he's like, I'm the Avatar. They're like, where?
Okay.
You know? Like, do you know? They're like, why do you know he's the
It
Avatar?
doesn't matter. They were gonna kill him regardless. They don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that kind
I
of
mean,
was set
it's
up a
just
little bit.
the like they know that the next Avatar is an airbender, but like
Yeah.
they don't know
Yeah.
that airbender died or not. So you're right. It doesn't make any sense.
And to be fair, like that line came from the animated show.
Which line?
We know.
Oh,
You know? Yeah. Well,
But
they,
still,
they
how
did
do
real.
they
They
know?
really did know though. If he's been bending on the water, then the other.
did he
the
bend
world
anything in
does
that
know.
episode where they met him?
He bent water before that episode. I don't
Yeah, but
remember.
they didn't see him bend it.
But the word had gotten to them.
Sure.
But as far as anyone in this world knows, it's not really confirmed yet.
Right.
I feel like it was all better.
No, I
set
thought
up
in
in
this.
the
No, I think in
animated
this show they.
series.
I thought they said something like "send word to the fire sages."
Yeah. Anyway, just the whole bending thing. It is very funny to think about him not water bending. What were we
It's
ta-
funny, but it makes me want to throw my computer out the window.
Fair.
Don't after the podcast because that would disrupt the.
My window doesn't
podcast.
open.
That's a
New
hazard.
York City problems. Okay. We get the conclusion of June. Nyla, name her, catches a scent. Then she comes and she captures
she
Aang.
Okay,
She's
I have a
like,
problem. I have a problem
Yeah,
with
yeah,
this.
you go. Go.
So, she finds a scrap on a tree,
Cut to she found him.
and he was flying for a long time. He's
That's
at this
true.
temple
Flew over some water. How did she track him there?
on top of a volcano, and she's like, "I found you." And I'm like, "Did you?
And she did though.
How
so
convenient."
Nylon
this is a
whatever.
good point.
she's just the
Yoshio's name
best.
is.
She can even track him through water.
Can they?
No,
It's like
but-
the eel hound that can swim through water.
Yeah, maybe Nyla can
Okay,
swim in the
you'll
show.
have-
Sure.
Maybe they're combining it.
Not
They
yeah.
have
Not
ostrich horses. I've been pretty.
June has one scene talking to Aang, says, and I'm not sure what the fuss is about.
Yeah, that was
she-
weird as well. I don't.
She's like she has a whole speech about how she has the world figured out.
Yep.
Probably the only thing she actually gets to say in the show is that, other than flirting with Iroh, is that one speech, that one little thing she gives, that she has the world figured out. So I guess I like that. We're trying to give her some character.
But the fact that she's talking to Aang, it was just strange.
Look, she's bored. She spends a lot of time with her. What I can't remember what's Nyla? Shirshu. Like she's kind of wackadoodle. Like just let her be, you know.
Yeah, she needs somebody to espouse her world.
She was like, man, I get to just like lord.
Why wasn't she just be like Aang and talk to Appa, but talk to Nyla, and she just won't understand her answer?
We don't have time.
But now there's a person. It's like when I've been hanging out with my dog, and all of a sudden I have to be a people.
Don't you have a wife?
Well, she's not home all the time. She has a job of like.
Then Iron's. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
Speaking of lines that they have to repeat all the time, like her saying, "Oh, Iroh's cute." Like they said that last episode, and then, "Why do I trust you?" Because you're so cute.
You're so cute, and then she gives a wink, though.
I'm okay with that, though. Also, my wife and I, we saw it before the episode aired, but we were like obsessed when she first says it's because your dad's cute, and Zuko is just like, "Oh my god!" It's just the funniest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did. That's what we get, and I will say, Iroh reacts in this scene. At least we're talking about how they remove the problematicness of Iroh liking the much younger woman, but at least he's like, "Oh, okay," you know, like, he gives that kind of face. Which
is that the face he gives?
That's how I interpret it. He's like, "Oh, you know."
He's like, "I still got it."
Is that what you say when somebody expresses attraction to you, Dylan?
That's exactly what I say. When I'm an old man, that's what I'll say. You know, like if you're Iroh, that's what you say in that moment. Yeah. Okay. So that overall, June, not a lot going in this show.
Nah.
Did not have a ton to do.
Okay, let's be honest. We had June because she's hot, and I'm okay with this.
It mostly felt like just a reference rather than like a full fleshed out character.
Granted, it's pretty expensive reference because I know that Shirshu ain't natural.
That Shirshu ain't natural? Wow. I didn't know that.
That Shirshu ain't right.
Probably not.
I'm so glad Mel's not here.
Yeah, you wouldn't have survived that.
He would have been.
We got Arden Cho for that role, probably one of the more expensive actors on the show. So
like, I'm happy to do it.
I'll just be in goth makeup for a few days.
You want me to be hot and flirt with Iroh? All right.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on June?
She's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's all I got. She's pretty.
My kind of gal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's going to Sam's party.
Yeah, exactly. She's invited.
Wait, I need to clarify. Is this a party like woohoo party or like a D&D party?
Like a woohoo party. Like we're all having fun.
When normal people hear party, they don't think D&D party.
What do you mean? We're not normal. We talk about Avatar and we're all in our 30s.
You're not normal, at least.
Okay, all right. No. You know,
we talk. Okay, don't come back with the obvious burn here.
We're gonna watch the animated Avatar.
I would not be opposed if the ladies would want to play D&D at this party, but personally, I did
probably find more exciting things to do than play D&D.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do so much more than
you
play
guys
D&D.
are a D&D party.
I know that's like a bonfire on the beach. That's how I just immediately pictured this party.
Oh my god.
Bonfire on the beach.
Normal people. You're not about to imply that you're normal, Dylan. Don't start.
No. At least I don't immediately think of D&D party though.
All right.
But, it is. I can't really come back from we're talking about Avatar in our 30s. So
I mean, I don't believe you when you say you don't immediately go to D&D party when you think of like add this person to my party.
When Sam was talking about the party last podcast, I didn't think of a D&D party.
Yeah, I didn't intend that. I also did not think of that at all.
I don't believe any of you.
Sure.
I don't care much for D&D personally.
Here, Allie, we're all gonna go back to your house and we're gonna play Baldur's Gate.
That's no.
Baldur's Gate's cool D&D.
It is, but I'd rather just play D&D.
Okay, that's good. That's a good nerd take. There you go. True nerd. Okay, how about we go back to Ko during this whole narration at the end. Aang places the totem down, and Ko's like, "Sure." And
he misses his mommy. He misses his mommy, guys.
Ko definitely has mommy issues.
Okay, where does he keep the totem? Like, where does it go?
It just kind of
above his mantle.
Does he have a mantle?
Like on his mantle above his fireplace? Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be in a spider web. That's kind of what we saw his lair was.
Also, their
This
is creeping me out.
So last podcast I talked about how Ko was had some vaginal qualities. to him.
Why are you bringing
I
it
want you to
up
know that I
again?
can't say what my wife said on air.
Can you say it and then
Can you
I can
say a
say
euphemism of it?
we'll block it out? In
I
post?
can't. I don't think so.
Oh, come on.
Oh,
Did you
Can you
guys,
edit
did
it
you guys
out?
also have this thought, or was it after?
This
the
is in
podcast?
response to what you said.
Okay, put it in the chat, and then we'll maybe I
Just-
can figure out a way to say it.
Oh, come on.
But in this, what I wanted to say was, in this, we return to Ko here. So, is Aang metaphorically returning to the womb here?
Why?
as he goes back to
Dylan.
Ko?
Why?
why did you bring this up?
So, because I wanted
Yes,
to
I'm
make
sorry,
a
you
joke
have to
about
read
returning
this.
to the
Oh,
womb.
ew,
Let's
Oh.
read what
Delaney.
Delaney put in the
Oh, we
chat.
really can't say that.
So there's one might say there is also a phallic aspect to Ko.
Why
Is
would
what's
y'all
being
know
said
what
here.
my wife said is way worse than
I
that.
would still argue that it's vaginal with the tendril bits because
There's-
that's a thing.
If you zoom in close, you get the vaginal sense, but if
Oh
you
my
zoom
God.
out and you see the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
structure,
For sure.
one might say he's a proverbial bringer of life, embodying the two aspects.
Intersect.
Am I gonna have to look at a screenshot of Ko's face
Yes.
and sort of identify the parts of the vulva
Yes, yes.
that
Well,
please do.
interact?
I feel like
Please
we were
do.
whenever this was mentioned on whichever podcast, I feel like someone said that it looks the same in the animated show.
Except
It's
you
worse
get
than
you get the live action CGI texture here, which I
Okay.
feel like is the
That is
real
the problem.
Yeah, that
I
makes
agree with
that makes everything worse. You're right.
And but speaking of returning to the womb, isn't that what Aang is doing when he goes to the spirit world to talk to his past lives?
I
So,
guess.
I feel like I think this is all one metaphor here.
This is gonna have to be a
Um,
new segment.
Write an essay about that, Dylan.
Already way more
Dissertation.
interesting thematically than anything we've done.
Maybe you should do some
I
mushrooms.
don't think this is bad.
Maybe don't
But
do
yeah.
that. Don't do.
No, you should. That's the only way to truly appreciate what the show's doing with
Do some
with Ko.
psychedelics.
One of my friends
Yeah.
did say that. I'm not gonna say who, but they were like, "What if I just get high and I'll enjoy it?" Actually,
I mean, you reference one friend specifically.
it's not that friend.
Oh, it's a
I was
different friend.
We all know.
I mean, as far as we know, you have one friend that
Okay.
you keep referencing. So.
What about you guys?
we don't have
I don't
a
have
lot
any
here.
reference.
That's the problem.
Delaney also references one person. This is true.
He's not my wife, but this is not the same person.
I mean, okay.
I do have a friend who messaged me, and she is cried with happiness watching the show.
yeah, she needs to get her eyes checked.
I think
Finally
I will
got
say
it.
I think that normies love this show. That's what I
I
gotta
will
say.
say I don't know how she feels about these episodes. At that point she'd only seen up to episode 3, so I will let y'all know.
My question is she a normie? Because you said she was our age. So how are you a normie at our age?
What do you mean? How normie is ageless, Allie? What do you?
No, but she grew up watching Avatar like we did.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
If
If you-
she's
yeah,
not a
but-
normie, but she's not a normie. I don't know.
Yeah, normie,
Crying,
it's not.
crying
It's
with
not.
happiness
how I
over
feel.
this adaptation is peak normie behavior.
That's fair.
It is. Any Netflix.
I have made her
Um,
watch Kipo.
Did she cry at that?
I don't know
That's
if you
va-
cried
that's
on
valid,
Kipo,
though.
but I know
Yeah.
she
Okay.
cried on Kipo. Oh, Kipo, like
actual
hurts my
measure.
soul.
You
Who
have
did
to
I
cry.
assign Hidden Zutara to in the beginning?
Allie.
Why?
Allie.
What?
Because
Allie.
you were talking about I don't know how to say Zuko, Katang, and Katara at the same time. But
Oh, yeah.
that's why.
Allie, please tell us about
Katara.
Katara. Only did not speak in this episode, but please
She was
tell us about the
unconscious.
Hidden
Her
Zutara
soul was
here.
literally not in her body.
Of course, you give me the hardest episode to do Hidden Zutara in, but I think
That's
I
okay,
can.
We have the Notebook. You can do it.
I can do it. So the Notebook, sure, but I'm thinking about how last episode we had Katara face her trauma with her mother being burned alive in front of her, and this episode we get Zuko's trauma of him being burned alive by his father. So it's like, they both have parental issues. One's mommy, one's daddy. It both involves fire and people being burned. Zuko has trauma with compassion, and Katara is all about compassion. So they're gonna come together in the end,
Oh,
compassionately.
Good
Okay.
job.
Okay. Well, I don't like that, but yeah, I think that last one's good.
What else? That's all I got.
Can I complain real quick that the ice dodging scene was like the worst thing ever?
Yeah.
In what way?
The flashback for
The
Sokka.
flashback is that
Yeah.
one
You
that's
just didn't like
not
it?
what happened, and then 2, why did you
That's
make
not what
Sokka suck?
Because he's
Sometimes
too
he
perfect. He's having
sucks.
too good of a time. He's getting all the girls.
They
And
wanted to make him not a Suki, so they gave him that flashback.
No, I don't like it.
I like the Sin Zutara, Allie.
Can I
think
add
you're-
another one?
Yes.
Zuko is in a boat in the water. Boom.
Ooh.
I did it.
Wow. Okay, that's your first one about how they have related traumas was way too accurate to what the Zutarans are probably actually saying.
Yeah, no, literally.
So
I brought it all around to what actual Hidden Zutara is all about. Nonsense.
yeah, that and no, come on, it's serious.
And
business.
No, I mean,
Zuko saved
like to
the
think
love
I
of
would be proud.
Katara's life, Aang.
Okay, yeah. This is how
I guess, okay.
Zukang Tara comes to fruition. He saved their mutual boyfriend when they get older.
Exactly.
Okay, here's your hidden cat Aang for the episode. Is
Katara's not even here. That was hard.
I know. Well, the whole time Aang's like, I gotta get my friends back. I gotta get that's all he says the entire episode, very annoyingly, even though it's true. They like this very too urgent for this situation to do this whole detour. But he has Katara in mind, obviously, so that's why
Like
he
I
kept
flew all the
saying
way
that.
to a
I got
volcano.
it.
They also hug at some point.
Yeah.
so.
At
Do
the
they
end.
hug at the end?
Yeah,
Okay.
with
Yeah.
Sokka.
Sokka's also there.
They look like zombies, Katara and Sokka.
They did.
Yeah.
I
Which
would say
guess-
I like that effect because they
Scary.
did look dead until they were coming out of the cave, like the people. That was some good CGI.
I was
Yeah.
like, how much does Ko need to eat? Jeez.
He's saving them for later.
He was
He's
was
freezing
literally.
them.
he actually was.
He's meal
Oh my God.
prepping.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
He
was
went
meal
grocery
prepping.
shopping, so he has
Yeah.
like snacks for later.
Jesus.
Actually, though, God, if we get 0 Katang from the last 2 episodes, I'm gonna come on and rant again.
I still
Oh.
need to. I mean, your qualifications of Katang are.
Just a hug. That's all I
And-
need. At
Okay,
the
they're
end.
literally so low. Dylan's gonna blow a gasket.
I'm still. They're
Oh.
higher than mine were, which is unexpected.
Oh my gosh. Was
I
there
guess
anything else?
Dylan is really the only true Katang shipper.
when it comes down to it.
I was equally mad about Cave of Two Lovers.
I was very upset about Cave of Two Lovers.
Okay,
but
look, there we go.
I will also
I-
be mad if we get to season 3 and they don't do a shot-for-shot remake of the headband.
Oh, they
Oh,
won't.
Footloose.
You know they
happen.
won't do that. Yeah,
Katang
they don't do.
Footloose.
They don't do fun. In this
it's not.
show.
No, they didn't do the fortune teller, so
That's true.
Yes.
What if
They
we do
didn't
the
do it
fortune
yet.
teller in season 2? We could
To
do
be fair,
that.
I'm okay not doing the fortune teller because of like other things in the episode that irritate me, but that's fair.
We also don't get to see Meng.
Yeah,
Wait,
that's
did
she's what I'm
we-
talking about.
No, we love Meng.
No.
we
She
didn't.
calls
talk-
Katara floozy.
Yeah, that's iconic. That's like such an
That's
iconic
scandalous.
line. It was scandalous at the time.
So after Aang rescues Katara and Sokka, sure, he goes to find Gyatso again, and he's gone, and that made me sad.
Oh yeah, Gyatso's gone at the end.
Good.
But okay, so look, on its own, they could have sold this, but then they immediately cut to a flashback of just last episode of him saying the thing.
yeah,
he
that was
said.
dumb. Like we remember.
Why was he there?
Right? Like they telegraphed it and they didn't need to redo it. And then but they never explained why he had his time limit.
They did not explain that, much like they did not explain why the totem was sufficient,
Stupid.
much like like really anything at the end.
Like I feel
Uh,
like in the
Hey,
episode
hey,
before
bye.
this. Sorry, Sam. Go ahead.
I think it was Delaney.
Sorry,
Oh, no.
Delaney. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I was just
The-
yelling about Hey Bye, you're fine.
I just
No panda.
No panda. In the episode before this, like we got Aang was like, "We'll talk when I come back," and you could see in Gyatso's face, he was like, "I'm not going to be here." So why did they have to flashback? We're not We're not that stupid.
Also, please
That-
don't flash back to the worst thing you've done in this show, honestly, period.
So
To me, that's the most egregious thing was what
What,
Gyatso
putting-
said.
What do you say?
Where he's like, you know, he like absolves Aang, and I'm like, so
Yeah.
you just ruined the whole show, like the literal whole show.
But again, there's not, we're not absolving of anything he actually did in this show.
It's so like mind-boggling.
I still like that Gyatso like forgoes the cycle to be there for Aang.
I do too.
And now my interpretation is maybe he's paying the consequences of that he's gonna kind of he has to just go away instead of getting reborn.
Mine was like I assumed that was like I've finished my business here, but I was like that doesn't seem like enough to have you stay in the spirit world
It seemed
for
like he
100
was
years.
forced out.
I guess so, yeah.
I will say it's okay because of like
Confusing.
what the show like what Korra establishes with Iroh.
That's why I was okay with it. But then if he's gone, it was his choice, assumingly, because Iroh stays in the spirit world of his own volition. It doesn't seem like he's getting kicked out. He doesn't have a time limit. He's there forever.
Here's what happened.
Okay, I'm ready.
He, by virtue of telling Aang where to go to get the totem, he massively pissed off Ko, and he knew he was going to get his face eaten right after that.
Okay, that actually makes more sense than anything they tried to set up.
Yeah, I'm with Jeff.
Sure. I mean, yeah, we don't really have any explanation, so.
I will say I preferred overall that he wasn't there, period, but okay.
Maybe it's just sad. Where's my dad?
We talk a lot about how Aang had nothing to be sorry for, so why is he moping about, and why did he need to be absolved of anything? I think, yes, he didn't like abandon them to the same extent as he did the animated show, but I still think, like, for a 12-year-old kid, oh no, I went on a field trip and then all the worst things happened. If only I hadn't been so scatterbrained, right? I think that is cool.
Yeah, I think so. I think it makes sense he would have negative feelings about it.
I'm okay with that, but like there's the absolution. I'm like, one, Gyatso can't do that. Like that's not how life works. Two, no.
Yeah.
So they're like, here's the barest scrap of Aang's characterization. Oh, we're taking it away. You had it for 2 minutes. It's gone now.
Yeah, look, I just like the Gyatso and Aang relationship in the show.
Yeah.
And I think it's a vehicle to get that again here. For the most part, I think that's probably what they're thinking. But then he leaves. I guess it's ambiguous so that you can bring him back again if you want.
But will they? It seems that they're not going to bring him back by the way they made him go away.
Not this season, but maybe next season.
Or I mean, I don't even know.
I think they could bring him back, but the whole end of the episode is rushed, but also like unrelated to the rest, wrapping up stuff that you really just set aside.
I just I don't understand why they combine these 3 episodes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a structure. Yeah, it's a structural thing. It's they needed to do. They want. I don't. Well, I was gonna say they needed to do the solstice stuff, but given that they didn't introduce the comet deadline, did we even need to do these 2 episodes?
No,
honestly.
Well, and Ko didn't need to be here.
No,
this is just an introduction to the spirit world. My issue
is I'm like, look, you can do Ko or you can do Heibai. You can't do both if you're just going to ignore Heibai.
Yep. I agree.
Like
so
Heibai,
they just chose to do the spirit world stuff here because that's the first time we get major spirit world in the show. But yeah, I am questioning the structure a little bit too, given that you do the talk to Roku part of the episode. You could have figured out another way to do it. I know that they established that you need to be in the shrine with Kyoshi, but they could have gone in a different direction.
Well, I think it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think because they did such a good job with episode 3 that this makes this like look like extra bad.
I still think though that the combination of some of the flashbacks from the storm combined with Blue Spirit I think worked.
Yeah.
Yes. No. My complaints with this episode are basically because episode 5 is awful.
So there's some good stuff in episode 5, but they're combining as like they brought June in. I think it for the most part is fine bringing June in here. So I don't know. I think they're still mostly successful with the combining. It just is like my overall thing is like it doesn't make it inherently good to just smash stuff together.
Yes.
But yeah, the end of this episode is kind of rough with rushing through everything. But we have to, I guess, go to the north immediately. Next episode, we'll find out.
Was that even established? I mean, yeah.
They didn't say anything about that yet. No.
Wait a minute. Is that next episode? I don't remember.
Yeah, there's almost certainly what you're thinking of is next episode.
Okay,
just because they've done nothing with yeah. The last thing we see of them is they wake up, I guess, or Sokka and Katara wake up, and then Aang is still in the spirit world and sees that Gyatso's gone, and then that's it. So we will find out coming up, and I believe it's called the North. So that the North. So presumably we'll
remembers
be in the Northern Water Tribe. We'll see if we get any Game of Thrones references. Let's
Will
see if we have
anyone
anything.
talk with a super thick white people northerner accent? We'll find out.
I would assume not.
Like
will we see-
Canadian?
like Game
Whoa.
of Thrones.
I see. I
Will
don't
we
know
see
anything
Yue
about
for
Game
the
of
first
Thrones.
time? Will Yue be the fox? Will that be addressed? We'll find out. So, but before that, any last thoughts on this episode? Anything we haven't talked about? Sam, anything else you want to get into?
Not really.
We covered it all.
Yeah, we
Extremely
really
deflated.
did. We really went through it all.
Celebrate.
Oh boy.
Good times. Come on.
It's
Fire
over
Nation.
now.
Allie, anything else from this episode?
I'm worried about the rest.
You saw it.
I don't remember a lot. I think I have to rewatch before we talk about it because it's been a
Okay.
couple weeks. I also had the refreshing actual scenes from the animated show to go off of, and it was much better than this.
Oh, at the
Got it.
concert.
Yeah, they
For the
played
concert,
the
yeah.
scenes and then they did the music to them, which was a little strange, but I think it worked. They had the dialogue and everything going in the background.
Yes, here. Listen to the end of last podcast for Allie's full concert report.
It's good. If you have the chance to see it, go. Pay for it.
Synergy, the official Avatar podcast, came up with. By the way, we're the official Avatar podcast.
Okay, sure.
Just so we're clear here.
Janet and Dante,
We're the
if you're listening to
official.
this, I'm sorry.
Janet and Dante are great. Janet does such a good
They're
job
fantastic.
with that podcast.
If you're listening to this, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, we were first. You could have
We
respected
were
us a little bit
first.
more. Official Avatar
Nickelodeon,
podcast.
you could have snatched us up.
Yeah. But
I
guess
didn't
they
get a
want to.
call about potentially hosting that podcast. I didn't hear
Wow.
anything.
They don't
We didn't
think
get
much of you, I
screeners.
guess.
Just it would have been nice to hear something from them. Anyway, they had their episode today was on the concert. They had Jeremy and the editor on, so it's good. Good synergy, I guess, across the Avatar branding with that.
It was fantastic.
Jeff, anything else from this episode?
I ticked down every one of my things I wrote down that I didn't like.
Oh
when we talked about
yes,
it. So
we did.
Did we talk about
yeah, we
it?
had them all.
Nice.
There you go.
There you go.
The complaining was sufficient. That's good
Yes.
to know. Delaney, anything else in the episode?
I think this is more episode 5, but Aang suddenly knowing things after being like, I don't know anything. And he's like, I'm an expert on the spirit world.
What did he know? I don't know.
He was like, he's talking about, there's places where the spirit world is thinner. And I'm like, did you read that in Zuko's
true.
diary? Like, he just starts saying stuff. And I'm like, when did you learn this?
I mean, he might have learned that from the Airbenders, but yeah.
From
I
the
think
notebook that we never
he's
got to
full
see
of
him look
crap.
at. It's from the notebook. We just never got to see him look at it.
I don't think Zuko knows that much. But
I do. He's a fanboy.
Nah.
Avatar fanboy. I don't know about Spirit World fanboy, but I guess
It's connected to the Avatar.
It's connected, yeah.
Yeah, if your whole mission in life is to go find the Avatar, you might go look in the spirit
Yeah,
world.
the spirit world is the first place to look.
Does Zuko ever go in the Spirit World?
No.
No, right?
No.
No,
Does
not
older
even in
Zuko ever go
Korra.
in the Spirit World? Yeah.
No. And it's alluded to. I remember seeing a lot of fan art of it after season 3 because he was like, wait, you spoke with my uncle?
I mean, theoretically, he could.
Writers of this show, free idea.
Yeah, put
Original
Zuko in the
story.
Spirit World.
Zuko in the Spirit World with Aang next season. Free
He
idea
gets,
here.
why don't you do when he like makes the one good decision in his life, his bad trip is in the spirit world.
Yeah, maybe more substantial when he's sick, yeah.
He has a
I
spiritual
could see
connection
that.
because he did a right thing.
A right thing. I could see it.
Boom. Roasted.
Boom. Okay. I don't know if that was roasted, but yeah.
A right thing.
The right thing. So there's I think that's all I got to on this episode. So that look, there a lot mixed bag, but a lot of good stuff in Masks. Let us know what you thought of
Mask
this
is
one.
a terrible title.
Wait, we didn't
Well,
talk
you
about
see, Iroh's narration was
Yeah.
about how some
Boo.
people, the mask is actually who they are.
Zuko seeing his
Wow.
past self in the mirror was the most ridiculous.
Oh, I did
thing.
I liked that actually. I liked him seeing
That was
his,
so camp. and
the
not-
effect was
so
very
deep.
camp.
Some of the
Um,
things they do, I'm like, is this supposed to be PBS or Game of Thrones? I'm confused.
PBS.
Like that's how it feels. Like past self in the
Arthur?
mirror, smiling.
Arthur's
back at
not
you.
that camp.
Like I don't know, something childish is what I mean.
Yeah. It I agree that it's very.
Just made me
Basic
laugh.
child
Like what
show
are you
type thing.
doing? It's-
I like that though. I don't know. It's like, oh, he has hair now in the mirror. That's funny. There you go. That's Masks and yeah, the Iroh narration. But you could leave a comment what you thought of it, and as I said in the beginning of the podcast, get your feedback in for the finale before Friday afternoon. Podcast at overlyanimated.com. if you're listening in real time to these, you want to weigh in on how they do the finale, the season overall, but there might be opportunities down the line also for us to come back to discuss the whole season. We will see about that. We're not even done with this season yet, as I'm painfully aware. Long season, but we're doing it, and you can, if you've enjoyed this, consider supporting us at Patreon, patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of podcast, Kent. And thanks as always to our patron executive producer, Steve Michael. I'm Phoenician. We'll be back with The North coming up.
The North.
Hopefully it'll be good.
Is that really the name of the episode?
Yes.
Oh my god.
And then the last one's called Legends. Very exciting.
Wow. They really needed to work on these titles a little bit more, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the only thing, but yeah.
No, they need to work on a lot.
Tells me that something important is going to happen in that last episode.
You were so astute, Jeff.
You would think. Okay, so we'll be back for the Northern Water Tribe. See you guys then. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.